Okay, hello. So today we're going to make up some turkey tacos. We're going to cook up some sausage and lentils. I'm going to make some little tiny mini frittatas for breakfast. And hopefully I'm going to make some tortillas from scratch. It's my first time with that, so we'll see how they go. We're going to start with the turkey tacos because they take a long time in the oven. Let me pull up my recipe. Okay, so starts with onion and garlic, um, diced up fine, and then put in a nice Dutch oven. You could use anything you want so long as it is oven safe because you're going to put this in the oven. Now think about these all the way through because you're going to put them into the taco. So don't make them too big. Did that already? Oil in the pan. Couple cloves of garlic to go with. And it's getting warm. Give it a couple minutes. I want the onions to start to cook before I put garlic in there because garlic cooks faster. Basically, a bunch of veggies, onion, garlic, tomato paste, spices, some broth, and some orange juice. So then you put the turkey in and you stick it in the oven for a couple hours and it comes out really tender, and there's your meat for your tacos. Get out the other thing that's going to cause me trouble. Get the tomato paste actually open. Come on. Gonna actually use tomato paste in both of the big recipes for today. It tastes good, and it comes in little tiny jars, but a little tiny jar always seems to be like twice as much as what I need. So you gotta put it all together. Let's see what else oregano, cumin, cinnamon, orange juice. Sugar and salt. Oh, and the turkey. And before I forget, and the oven is hot, I'm going to pull the rack down so I can actually fit this in the oven. There's nothing worse than trying to maneuver 300-degree oven sheets. Onions model. Onions are what smell so good. Okay, in goes the garlic. I'm gonna do up some turkey tacos. Well, there'll be garlic in actually with the pickled onions, and then you can always put more garlic on top at the very end. You want to layer your flavors, not just put them all in at once. If I did the math right, I'm gonna need 2 full heads of garlic today, so I got some for the week. Basically just taking the spicy edge off the garlic before you start putting in everything else. First dry spices, then tomato paste, then broth, then orange juice, then turkey. I'm going to turn the oven on to preheat now. Let's see, some salt. If you have a chicken broth that isn't like a low sodium chicken broth, you might want to cut the salt back. You don't need it too salty. So like somewhere in between a PvP match and like, oh, I don't know, a friendly open world event. Some pepper. Cumin. I say a teaspoon and a half. I'm not making another thing dirty, so I'm thinking that's 1.5. Oregano. And then a smidge of cinnamon. Just gonna let these go for 30-40 seconds here. Some tomato paste in, and then we're going to add in some chicken broth and then orange juice. I'm not going to measure the chicken broth, I am going to measure the orange juice. I want to be kind of careful I don't drop too much acidity in. One. Come on. 2. 3. You can actually, I don't know, I think you can see it. The pan's starting to get really nice and brown on the bottom. When I add the chicken broth, I'm going to make sure to scrape that all up. That's your flavor. Now, if you were going really like authentic, you'd use turkey broth. I don't have any turkey broth, but I have chicken broth, so I'm using chicken. Okay. Alright, that's all nice and up. I'm going to measure this. Where's my... It's all mixed together. Orange juice, I'm going for half a cup. I went for no pulp because I don't really like pulp in things that don't need pulp. I would use whatever you have at home. If it's pulp orange juice, then use that. If you're one of them really fancy people with the juicer thing, you could totally be super fresh. Just a little more. So I've got turkey thighs that I'm using today. Turkeys are really big, so this is 4 pounds of meat, but it's only 2 thighs. Or at least the guy at the counter said it was only 2 thighs. I'm going to cut these in half, just so when I pull them out to shred them, they're a little easier to deal with. And from here, I'm going to just kind of nestle them in. Ooh, yep, 2. Some huge turkey. I used boneless, so that way I don't have to worry about picking out bones later. You could use bone in. I don't recommend breast because it doesn't taste as good. Basically what you're trying to do here is get these fully submerged. I'm going to get these up to simmer on the stove top because it's faster, and then I'm going to put them in the oven, and it's about 1 hour and 45 minutes till they're nice and fall apart tender. So basically once I'm done cooking everything else, I'll pull them out of the oven and shred them. So get the lid on. Out of my way. Oven's preheated. Gonna need that knife again. Get these put away. When you start planning a meal prep, the first thing you have to do is think about your order. So what's going to take the longest to cook? What's the fastest? And in my case, I started this out knowing that the turkey was going to be really long, so I need to start with it. You don't want a lot of things that take the same amount of time, otherwise they all finish at the same time and you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. So the other thing we're going to make once this goes in, I'm going to start working on the mini frittatas. What that's going to take is I'm going to fry up some potatoes, onions, and peppers on the stove, put them into those little mini dishes I have, and then drop them into the oven with eggs to bake, and that's going to be my breakfast for the week. That is bubbling. Oven is preheated. It's hot. I know this is a shocker, but hot things are hot. So roughly 2 hours. Overcooking with thighs is not really an issue. If you have breasts, you got to watch a lot more closely. Another reason why I use turkey thighs. Another frying pan. Another onion. So, turn off the recipe so I can see you guys. Come on. Yes, you've got to look at your breasts while cooking. Very important. Otherwise you might mess up. And if you need assistance, I suggest talking with Damos. He should be able to give you a hand there. Now again, just like with the other one, I don't want these too large. You're trying to get a blend of flavors in your mouth when you eat, not like a chunk of onion and then a chunk of pepper and then a chunk of egg. Oh, I nearly forgot the important ingredient in frittata. Where is the bacon? Oh, there it is. I say there's no way I ate all the bacon. I need it for both recipes today. Going to be using bacon as most of the fat for the dish. If you were being healthy and didn't want to use bacon, you could use whatever other meat you want, or no meat at all. Just remember you're going to need to add both a little more spices to the pan than I will, and more fat. Okay. Back to the onion here. And pepper. Let's see, where are my peppers? This one doesn't look bad. It's that one now. Okay. I don't really like the taste of that pith in the middle, so I get rid of it. If you were serving these for a party and wanted to play like Russian roulette, what you could do is make up the batch and then put a habanero or two in about half of them and not in the other half, and then just never tell anyone. And you never know, do you get a spicy one or a not spicy one? Obviously, if you do that, you want to use an orange pepper, so that way you can't like visually see the difference. You know, if you want to be cruel to people. Not saying you should, but if you want to. Now when you're cooking this, as soon as you add the onions to the bacon, your bacon is never getting any crispier than it is at that moment. So wait for your bacon to get to the appropriate crispy level and then add other ingredients. And you know what? Some garlic. Yeah, that much. Come on. There we go. 1, 3. Fill these guys up. I might be making a visit to one of the haunted prisons in the US this week, so I want to make sure I have enough garlic in my system just in case. So garlic is going in everything. These around. Bacon needs maybe 30 more seconds before I add the onion. I like it just on that edge of crispy crunchy, especially when I'm going back and putting it into a baked dish, because if it's too crispy it just falls apart inside the dish and you don't get any bacon pieces. And you can also see all the fat starting to come out of the pan. It's really going to make everything else taste really good. Okay. Yeah, bacon's good. So, I'm going to go the onion. Hot. Give it a minute through, the onion's going to really soften up from all the fat and salt and everything that's inside the dish already. There it is. I'm I'm going to attempt to keep my kitchen less of a disaster than last week, so I'm going to use the splatter guards this time. Dice this up just a little. We're also going to, before we add the peppers, I'm going to actually add a potato or two, dice it up really fine, give some starch. Okay, looking for any green spots. I don't see any. Green spots in potatoes taste bitter, so if you see them on the skin, just peel it off. All it's going to do is make you bite into it and go, ew. Trash pieces. Trying to be good and keep my cutting board a little cleaner than usual. Again, I'm cutting these potatoes pretty small. The thicker you cut the potatoes, the longer they will take to cook. Also, the bigger the chunks you'll have in your final dish, obviously. I have really small dishes I'm putting this in, so I don't want huge potato pieces. These guys. I'm not actually going to use the ends in this recipe because they don't dice up as well, really tiny. And I'm really going for tiny potato pieces. Potato. Onions starting to get a little color. Now they will keep cooking through to the end, so I'm going to add the potatoes. I'm going to add a dash of water here once these are stirred in. That will help them cook a little faster. Give them about 5 minutes and they'll be ready for me to add the peppers, which means they're almost cooked through. That water will be fully evaporated, and then once the peppers start getting a little color, I'll add the garlic in at the very end, because garlic burns really easily. And then I'll transfer them all into little dishes. Let me get the little dishes. And they'll go in the very bottom rack of the oven. If your oven's tiny, you probably can't do both of these at once. I'm remaining hopeful I can sneak it in there. I don't think it's too tall, but we'll see. And by doing these in the little dishes, I give myself really good portion controlled breakfast, so I don't have to deal with even more dishes. And these are also microwave safe. So the frittatas are going to be all of the potatoes, bacons, and onions that I have here, with the peppers and some eggs. They're going to go in these little tiny dishes, stick them in the oven, and then afterwards, after I've reheated them in the breakfast for the morning, I'm either going to put some salsa if I feel like it, or cheese, or both, or avocado, or hot sauce, whatever I feel like it. And these are mini because the dish I'm making them in is mini. But really the key thing that you have to think about is when you put them in the oven, you're only cooking the egg, so everything else needs to be cooked through all the way, or else it's still going to be raw when you pull it out. Alright, waiting for the potatoes to cook. Try them. Yeah, close. Which sausages? For the lentils with sausage, they're going to be pork sausage. I had a choice between turkey and pork has a little more fat, so it makes the dish come together a little better. Okay, those are almost good, which means it's time to add the peppers. I don't want to add the peppers too early because they tend to fall apart. And I like to know that I'm eating pepper. Have a nice nap, kitty. Or not nap, or whatever you're going to do. Yeah, son. If I was making this for dinner right now, I'd just add the eggs straight to the big dish. But I'm not, so I won't. What is my delay? No. This button. Really? Huh. It's a really big delay. So the tacos I am making completely from scratch. I have the masa harina in a bowl off screen for a little later on. I'm going to make the tortillas from scratch. The turkeys are obviously, it's from turkey. So I would not despair on, having tacos. They might be homegrown tacos, but tacos are pretty awesome. Well, I am about as white can be, so my tacos will not be Mexican tacos, but I think they'll taste pretty well anyway. Let's see. Flour. Eggs out. Okay. The water has all evaporated. Smoke a couple with a fork. Okay. It's going through them. Add in the garlic just for like 30 seconds. Lay these out on the baking sheet. And then as soon as the garlic, yeah, as soon as the garlic gets a little color, I'm gonna put these in. I had my choice of like bright neon colors and this like blue and red. I decided the neon colors would discolor really quickly, and that kind of looks gross when you've got this off green thing with food in it. So. Philadelphia, so Pennsylvania. Okay. Ooh. So where are you from? There's two things I've had from Chile. I've had wine and I've had grapes. They're kind of related. Someday I'm going to make it there. I've got this dream of a South American tour. Not sure when, but someday. Start with 6 eggs. Basically the goal. Well, the interesting thing is, you say that, but every country has just a little bit of different stuff. So even though it's kind of similar, it's, you know, it's always fun to experience it. Basically, I'm just putting enough egg on top. Desert Alaska. I've never made it to Alaska. Swamps are, well, they're swamps. Now, are you in the desert, the Alaska, or the swamps? Washington, D.C. is a really cool place. There's a lot of big monuments that are cool. And the Air and Space Museum has this giant annex that's just all these planes all over the place. One more egg. So, get this guy finished off. You can see the eggs kind of settling in on all these. This is going to go in the oven, and I am aiming for 10 minutes. I'm going to have to watch these closely. You want the egg to be fully firmed up. There we go. So I'm going to actually start up the sausage and lentils. It's going to take about 50 minutes to cook, so I want to get it going. Behave. Starts with the rest of that bacon. Actually, before I put the bacon in, I'm going to get the next ingredient prepped because this is going to be kind of bang, 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 and the carrots are going to take a while to get ready. Probably this traditional, well, so we have this thing called Taco Tuesdays. So, like, I mean, bacon is pretty much as American as you can get. Yeah, apple pie, I mean, grilling. We do a lot of grilling. It's both kind of cold out and it's raining, so can't grill today. Um, People say apple pie. Other people, burgers. I mean, burgers are pretty traditional. But as I'm prepping up all the food for the week, burgers don't really reheat very well, so can't get them ready and have them sit for 4 days. Um, the nice part about being American in the end is we've basically taken every comfort food you can imagine and we pretty much call it okay. You know, lasagna, if you go to the right places, you'll get like red beans and rice. I mean, if it's comfort food, we believe in it. Potatoes. There's a lot of. It is one of the stereotypes. Irish people and potatoes, kind of like Russians and vodka. It has to do with a lot of them came over because of the potato famine, so obviously they need more potatoes. And potatoes are also pretty good. Yeah. Getting closer. Okay. Actually, put these on. Basic concept here is we're going to get some of the fat going out of the bacon, put in carrots and onions, add in some other aromatics, add the sausages, add the lentils, have them chill and cook for 45 or 50 minutes, and then they'll be ready to serve. Really? All right. See you later. I am doing this every Sunday at 2 o'clock, so, you know, if you turn on the email thingy, you should get notifications. Hopefully see you next week. Okay, oh, I need an onion too. Yeah, it's a pretty easy recipe. I really like it. I've made that a couple times. This guy. See how those little mini frittatas are doing. Couple more minutes. They are not set through. Yeah, that can happen. Basically, you want enough so that when you're done cooking, you've got some liquid to pour back over that couscous, so it adds a little more flavor. Some onion and those carrots. Checking out the frittatas again. I'm going to be a little more patient with them. They're still very, they've just turned opaque in the center. If you guys didn't know, if you crush the garlic just a tiny bit, not like to smash it fully, it peels like 1,000 times easier. So, and unless you need whole cloves of garlic for presentation, I would just smash a little. Garlic in. Just a couple minutes here before I add everything else. stuff out. Rosemary, there it is. Tomato paste, chicken broth. Where are my lentils? I'm going to measure my lentils. Okay, bay leaves. Where did I put? Oh, there. And parsley at the end. Now, unlike before, I am going to measure the liquid this time. It's important to make sure you have the right amount for the amount of lentils you have. Otherwise, it won't go very well. And whenever I am short, just be adding water and a little concentrated stock. About a teaspoon for this, so that a little more. I guess I'll call it out. If you have any type of refrigerated concentrated stock containers, there's a huge recall that went out, so make sure you don't have ones that are recalled. It's gotten some people killed in Canada, so like actually check it. Okay. Oh yeah, those look good. Okay, these guys are set basically. I'm gonna let them cool, which will finish it. Now it's just add everything time. Okay, deglaze the pan a little bit. Add my tomato paste. Maybe a tablespoon-ish. Okay. Rosemary. I guess I'm gonna. Yeah, I'll use this anyway. Going for a teaspoon. that in. I'll add the rest of the chicken broth in, stir in the lentils, and then I'll put the sausages on the very top. Cut the lentils. Actually, pull these off to the side. I'm going to let these cool the rest of the way, but I need that space. Okay, get the sausage out. Back to being able to see you guys. Okay, there we go. Got 3 links of a sweet Italian sausage. If you like it spicy, get spicy. Or maybe like a chorizo. I'm going to cut these in half. Obviously cut in half, this serves 3. If you got slightly smaller sausages and had like 8, you could serve 4. And basically I'm just going to nestle these down in. And I'm going to move this to the back burner. Front. And this is going to simmer for 40 to 45 minutes. Basically until the sausages are cooked through. That's your longest ingredient. Now I'm going to spend a minute and clean up here, because the next thing is the one that I have never tried before, and I'm going to be making my own tortillas. Don't need this. So this is 2 cups of measured tortilla corn flour. To this I need to add about 1.25 cups of water. This is just starting at 1 cup, and then until you get this, until it comes together, add a little by little. Let's see. Less. Let's start with this much. I'm just going to use a fork. And as I need more water, just add a little more water. Okay. Now this is still too dry. Okay. Almost there. I want it to stick together as like one lump, but not be like wet. Now it's a lot harder to overmix this because corn flour doesn't have gluten, so you can't make gluten strands in it. Doesn't work. Yes. One tiny bit more water. And basically, I just want this to not fall apart before I dump it all over my counter. Yeah. Good. The instructions on the side of the box said that you're supposed to be able to take a piece in your hand and smash it and it won't shatter. It'll fold smoothly, and that's what I got there. So hopefully this is going to turn out okay. And if not, grocery stores down the street, I can go buy tortillas. See, it's an experiment. So I actually need the pan I had earlier with that bacon and potatoes, because I'm out of frying pans. So let me rinse that out. Any suggestion was, and I have to go grab it still. Grab my pie plate. Suggestion was using a Ziploc bag and a pie plate to press these out into shape. Okay. So here's the pie plate. Zip the bag. Maybe. Cut the sides out so it's easier to pick them in and out. If I was fancy, I would have a tortilla press. I went to the thrift store, they didn't have any. And the only one I saw was like a lot of money. So, if this works well, maybe I'll do that. We shall see. This out of the way. Pushing all of these out of the way. So the suggestion was a 1/4 cup-ish piece, between 3 tablespoons and a 1/4 cup. In the middle, and even pressure with the pie plate. Okay. Well, these are all going to have the Pyrex logo stamped on the bottom of them. And then from there, transfer it to your hand. Get the pan really hot and go. Okay. Let's see how this turns out. Need to wait for the pan to get hot. The other thing they said is when I flip this over, I need to push on the middle because it makes air pockets. I'm not sure how that makes air pockets, but these are people who have a lot more experience than I do in making tortillas. Shall see. Nope, not done. Okay. Again, being patient, not really my strong suit here, but I'm going to try to be patient. Almost. Let's see how that one turns out. Okay. This feels cooked through. I guess we'll see. Move this guy. these turned out. That's a little thick. Obviously, I want to make sure these aren't too thick because tortillas aren't thick. And I can see how a tortilla press would make this much easier. Iced tea. This guy. Okay, pushed on it. Not quite done. That one's ready. Next one. I have to say, I can see why people spend $2 on tortillas at the grocery store. This is way more work. But maybe they taste that much better at the end. I don't know. We'll find out. I'm hoping they taste really good. Okay, that guy's done. Another one here. think a tortilla press would actually get these a little thinner. I feel like I'm basically pushing down until the pie pan hits the countertop, and they're still kind of thick. Lentils and sausage are going. Actually, let me spin those sausages. They're sitting in boiling water. I don't think it matters much, but you never know. Oh yeah, and this one, I can even see the Pyrex on it. I'm gonna have some logoed tortillas. That's kind of cool. Especially if I could have used like my own logo. Splash oil. As you can see, my countertop is not quite level. Likes to fly away. Okay. So that one goes. Okay, well, they still have give in them, so I haven't ruined them. So they're behaving like tortillas. Okay. Let's see. Okay, another one. Okay. Okay. Now I'm getting the hang of this. This is actually kind of fun. Maybe I'll hopefully make a taco right before the end of this and see how this goes. They've all got a little flexibility in them, which is good, which is what they're supposed to. They're a tiny bit thicker than they probably should be, but it's okay. Physics is wonderful. They're trying to flow downhill. There's enough heat on the pan that it's generating lift from the steam and keeping it off the ground. Yeah. Closer and closer. Okay. 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 Not sure how well you guys can see, but my pan is basically smoking. That's how hot I've got it. It's definitely making these cook a lot better the hotter I've gotten this pan. I guess should be obvious. Don't use olive oil. Olive oil smokes at like 300 degrees. Oh, this one looks really good. Nope, not quite. Okay, I got. Oh, yeah, I'll go with maybe 3 more tortillas. It's really hot. Lentils look almost done. And then, last thing, pull the turkey out of the oven and shred it for tacos. Steak. Okay. It's my favorite part. The green stuff in the bag. It's some weird pattern on the bag. It's like, wow, checkerboard, I don't know. Ask IKEA, it's Swedish. It's not actually like a real thing. Up next to, oh, bay leaves. If you go to the grocery store and you buy them in like a jar, you get like 3 bay leaves for $4. Or you go to the store and buy them in a bag and you get like 30 bay leaves for $4. And the bay leaves are actually in this dish, which is the sausage and lentils. drops. This guy in. Alright, even though this is like an apartment kitchen and not really mine, I'm starting to feel like I should figure out how to pull the stove out and level it. Just watching every last one of these slowly fall down towards the back of the pan. I'm spoiled because the stove at my parents' house, when I lived there, was very much level. So I didn't have to worry about this. A couple more. I wait. And oh, that's just gonna be a bigger one. Whatever. Okay. Let's get out of my way now. Got my next to last tortilla here. Okay. This last one in. Trash. Let me actually clean this a little bit. Flip the sky. And then once this one is done, it's time to pull out the turkey from the oven, or it's been sitting there for 2 hours, and shred it up. Hopefully this works. Be patient. Actually, those lentils in the back are cooked through, so I'm going to turn that burner off and let them just cool down for a little bit. A couple of forks ready. Cutting board here. It's really hot. Turkey out. Okay. Now while I'm shredding all of the turkey, I'm actually leaving this cook with the lid off. The goal at this point is then to reduce the liquid down to like a sauce for inside the taco. And there should be 4 big pieces. If I did this right, it should be really easy. And I mean, I'm not even putting any effort in. Yeah. So I've got a bunch of spices, tomatoes, garlic, onions, tomato paste, not full tomatoes, you know, cumin, little cinnamon, oregano, kind of a cross between what you'd put in for like a Thanksgiving turkey and a little bit of spice to make it up a little closer to tacos. And this is boneless, skinless turkey thighs, not like breasts. And actually, if you happen to scroll down, there is a link to a Discord that actually I post all of my recipes in. So that way, if I'm not explaining things clearly enough and you want to make it at home, you can feel free to just follow along. And the goal is actually to post them up a couple days before, so like Friday night for today. So once these are kind of shredded up, I'm just sticking them back in. I'm just going to let evaporation do its thing on the sauce as we go. And actually your goal here is this is probably 10 minutes or so to get the turkey sauce thickened, so you don't have to rush. This next piece over. And the nice part about dark meat on the whole is it's very hard to overcook it, which means that you don't have to worry anywhere near as much. This goes doubly so when you look to reheat it. There's actually a turkey farm near me, so this is all like fresh turkey. It wasn't frozen at any point. If you get frozen, it can change the texture sometimes. next piece. No, it's a tiny piece. If you were like really patient, you could wait for this to all to cool and use the bear claw things. I'm both not patient and I don't own those, so 2 forks works pretty well and keeps me from scalding my fingers with 200-degree turkey, I should say. Sorry. And if you obviously didn't have turkey, you could totally do this with chicken. You just need a lot more chicken thighs than turkey thighs. For me, almost 4 pounds of meat was 3 thighs. Oh yeah, I have nothing in the oven anymore. I can do that. I'm sitting here wondering why the kitchen's getting so hot and oven's on and there's nothing even in there. This. So for the turkey tacos, I'm actually going to store all the ingredients separately. So store the tortillas separate from the turkey meat. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put together the sausage and lentil dish, get that all prepped and ready for grab-and-go lunches. I want to keep the turkey meat separate because it's going to put a lot of liquid in with the tortilla shells if I don't keep them as separated as possible until the last second. So let me grab my dishes and we'll put together this sausage and lentil. And as I said earlier, I have 3 sausages in there, so I'm going to make 3 meals out of it. Lids out of the way. So, um, actually, let me grab a little dish to cut the sausages with. Basically, I'm going to split the lentils on the bottom in thirds, and then take 2 sausage links, slice them up so they're easier to eat when I'm at work, and then put them over each one. Now I'll scrape the last of this in after I've cut up all the sausages. Alright. Aiming for 2 of these links per. If you're watching earlier, these are actually 1 long link I cut in half. Got them from the local butcher. A lot of grocery stores, when you buy them, they're a lot smaller to start with, so you don't need to cut them in half. Closer. At the same time, I'm obviously watching the shredded turkey to make sure I don't evaporate all the water and scald it to the bottom of the pan, because that suck. I hate cleaning pans with burnt log crap. Oh, and it would also ruin my turkey, which I don't want. And the big thing about prepping this and packing it immediately is you don't have to do more work later when you're already tired after cooking. Do it all at once and then you're done. And as you can tell by how easily the knife just runs through these like butter, I both have a really sharp knife and these are very well done. Alright, get the last of the lentil in. little bit of parsley on, just dried parsley on top. It'll rehydrate long before I go to eat these at lunch at work this week. And just as a report in from last week's food, the chicken went really well with the Israeli couscous. Highly recommend it. And on Monday night, I came home and realized that when I cooked the potatoes to go with the pork chops, I had bought a head of cauliflower to do that and completely forgot. So I cooked up the head of cauliflower. Cauliflower reheats a lot better than potatoes do in wedge form. So I eventually took out those potatoes and put in cauliflower. And obviously the breakfast sandwiches I make darn near every week. So they're pretty good. So outside of that, I am basically done. I'm going to let this cook down for just a couple more minutes. So I'll give the normal shout out if you like the food here. First of all, scroll down just a little bit and you should see a link to a Discord. That Discord has all of the recipes posted in it. And I post them up on a Friday night, so if you ever want to cook along with me, you can. In addition, if that heart is empty, if you would like to follow me and see more of this and get reminded when I'm cooking on Sundays, feel free to hit that follow button. And otherwise, I hope to see you all next Sunday, 2 o'clock Eastern, whatever time that is for you, as I cook up more food, because I will have, in fact, eaten all of this, and it's all gone. So, everyone have a wonderful day.